The term cellular internet encompasses all smartphone and some tablet internet connectivity made via the connection to the carrier, to your provider, as opposed to a Wi-Fi connection. And this all began with 2G, the old school 2G speeds through your cellular network. And there's a couple options with this. GSM, the global system for mobile communications, is very common. If you have AT&T or T-Mobile, they would use GSM to make the voice calls, and then the general packet radio service, or GPRS, to send data through that cellular network. If you have another provider like Sprint or Verizon or US Cellular, you'd use CDMA to send the data, and that's code division multiple access technology. So two different options there. But basically, 2G is too slow. If you want to watch video or send photos, 2G is not going to cut it. So there are extensions to these services which are used in most parts of the world now. First of all, 2G evolved into 3G with enhanced data rates for GSM evolution. That's known as EDGE. And then in many areas, you can now get 4G and LTE, as long as the mobile device complies with the International Mobile Telecommunications Advanced requirements, the IMT Advanced requirements. And that means it has to have a 4G antenna, and it has to be in range of a 4G transmitter. Most devices manufactured during this video, during the time of the recording of this video, are 4G with LTE. And so you can get speeds of upwards of 50 to 100 megabits per second, depending on your connection. Typically, I'll get about 30 megabits per second, and I'm pretty close to a radio tower, and that's a 4G LTE connection. 5G is also available in some areas at 20 gigabits per second, standardized as ITU IMT-2020. Let's show a mobile device now and show the actual connectivity in the About section for the device and show how it connects to the cell phone tower. So here we have a Galaxy Note, and you can see at the top here that the wireless is on. And that's important. If the Wi-Fi is on, that's going to change what we see in our network settings. But I'm in the settings right now, and I'm going to go to About Device. And then from there, go to Status. And then you see the network we're on is T-Mobile, and we see the mobile network type is IWLAN. Well, WLAN means Wireless Local Area Network. That means that that's the Wi-Fi connection. So in order to see the actual network we're using for cellular, I have to turn off the Wi-Fi. So we'll go to the, swipe down to the notification area, turn off Wi-Fi, swipe back up, and then you see it has changed to LTE. So I have an LTE connection for 4G, and it's at negative 107 dBm, which is a good connection. As I mentioned, real close to the cell tower, so it gets a pretty powerful connection. And if we swipe back down, turn the Wi-Fi back on, because we definitely want Wi-Fi, then we see that the mobile network type changes back to IWLAN. So normally you'd go to the settings and go to About, and you might also have to go to Status within the About section to see what network you're connecting to and how good the signal is. Okay, let's talk about updates a little bit. First, PRL updates. That stands for Preferred Roaming List, and it's used by cellular providers that are working with CDMA technology. So Sprint, Verizon, US Cellular, they're using CDMA instead of GSM. They're going to use these PRL updates, and what that is a database that contains information about the provider's radio bands, sub-bands, service providers' IDs. Ultimately, it allows the phone to connect to the correct tower. Without this database of information, you might not be able to connect correctly. You might not be able to roam outside the network. And so when necessary, the PRL updates are sent over the air. However, you can also update this by manually dialing a special number, which is different for each provider. Now, if your phone uses GSM, then that technology and its radio functions are controlled by a chip and software collectively referred to as baseband. And baseband updates are necessary to communicate with the GSM cell towers. So it's the same type of thing. Basically your PRL updates are used by CDMA devices. Your baseband updates are used by GSM devices. Now, next on the list, we have IMEI and IMSI. These are both identification technologies. IMEI stands for International Mobile Station Equipment Identity, and it'll identify phones used on GSM or UMTS or LTE networks. You can often find this ID number printed inside the phone on the battery or near the battery, and it's only used to identify the device. You can also find this in the About section on the phone. So once again, we're at our smartphone here. We're in the settings. If we go to About Device and then go to Status and scroll up a little bit, we'll see the IMEI setting right there. There's our ID. And so that identifies this individual phone to the provider and also to any authorities if necessary. And IMSI, or IMSI, is the International Mobile Subscriber Identity. So this is used to identify the user. For GSM networks, this ID is loaded into a SIM card, a Subscriber Identity Module card. For CDMA networks, the ID is either loaded directly into the phone storage or to a removable user identity module, RUIM, which is similar to a SIM card. So you want to know about the IMEI, which identifies the phone or the device, and IMSI, which identifies the user.